Great. Well, I'll control the mutes and unmutes right here, so we're good. We are recording officially. You want me to start?
Yeah.
Aloha, everybody. Zendo Kern, Planning Director. Happy to be here.
Ikaika Rodners, Director of Public Works.
And Lee Lord, Managing Director, currently Acting Mayor.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
And
everybody. Cyrus Jonathan, Public Information Officer, and yeah.
okay, so I just missed his name, Lee. What's
Cyrus Johansson.
oh, Cyrus Johansson. Okay, very good. Thank you.
Johansson. No.
Johansson. Johansson. Okay.
Yeah, same thing. We're all good.
Push the chair open.
Okay. Thank you. So I didn't see a necessity of going over that letter that we sent you. I thought perhaps it would be best, since I assume everyone's read that letter, just so we don't have to repeat ourselves, about how the county views our situation and how any suggestions you have of steps forward, regarding the lava covered area. And we'll gladly answer any of your questions.
Your concerns are understood. It was pretty clear in the letter. We can't really take responsibility for what happened up to this point in time, but we can also be responsible to respond to what's happened up to this point in time. And Zendo, Ikaika, and the team is more than happy and willing and wants to go ahead and work on the issue. So we've asked them to go ahead and take the lead. That's why they're here. That's why you wanted to talk to them. We support you all 100% in any way we can within the bounds of the law and through the process.
Thank you very much, Lee. And Zendo and Ikaika, do you want to go forward from here?
I'm happy to talk a little bit about policy in general, kind of moving forward for sure. I mean, as it stands right now, the lava that's covered those lots are technically still owned by those lot owners. So the permanent protection, I think, is something that needs to be worked towards with the plan. I think it's not as necessarily easy as one would think, or when the lava extended into the ocean, that became state land. So we're still dealing with private property rights, and I think the million-dollar question will be, how do we treat those property rights moving forward? Do we prohibit from building back over the lava, or do we encourage it? And I think that's kind of direction that, I know you know this, Robert, from our last meeting, is that we're still gathering information on that to understand that better. So unfortunately, we're not going to have all of the answers today. I think this is where it's always been somewhat of a challenge in the past, but very doable when you have an administration that wants to work with, is getting that private-public partnership together. And I think that's something that you can count on from us and this admin to do that, and to not kind of lock you guys out, or all of a sudden there's something happening in your community that you're not aware of. So that's not something we want to deal with. The tourism component, I think, is something that needs to be discussed by you folks a bit more on what, Leilani sees as that, because naturally it's drawing people down in there. Kind of a bit of a double-edged sword in a way, right? Because we do want to see, business growth in Pahoa, and Pahoa being supported, and tourism is part of that, and an attraction out there. But unfortunately, having all of them travel through Leilani is certainly a challenge. Be good to hear from you folks how you guys feel about that. I'm not sure if you guys have done surveys in the community. I'm sure there's, mixed feelings around that, some being maybe open and some being completely opposed. And then more on the building permit side, I'll let Ikaika talk about that a bit more. But again, I think that's still a policy decision that we're kind of looking at in all of the area. I have my own opinions on certain things, but again, I think it's unfortunate the timing of, Mayor Roth having to take a break for a moment, because this is at this time where we're trying to really drive that. So we've been kind of on our side understanding the mechanics of, say, how the lava's cooling down, what the getting feedback from the community, et cetera. So these meetings are they're helpful as well because we get feedback from you folks. And happy to answer any pointed questions related to the planning department.
Thank you. And so no, I concur with you. We just see this as the first of hopefully many engagements with the county. We're not expecting, definitive answers on most of these questions, but at least to begin this conversation and to move toward that. I think we understand that. I think other people in the group, can fill in. Maybe let's first hear from Ikaika, and then people from Leilani can respond. Ikaika?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Robert,
Yes.
oh,
Alice?
this is Alice Lindahl. We do have, I wanted to state from the outset that Leilani understands that we really have two sets of rules governing building and road issues in our community. And one of them is the county through its permitting system. And, the other one are the LCA bylaws and the CCNRs. And I am not aware of any kind of conflict between those two, but we recognize that we have to deal with both when an issue comes up regarding building and grading of roads. And our most pointed question that we really don't know the answer to is, that we understand that all LCA property owners have an easement over the road. That's the official designation in our laws. And we want to know if an easement gives a member a right to a grading permit if one is required. That is, if does the county override the Leilani estates possibly in an attempt to keep people from grading roads without asking permission. I don't know if I made that clear. If their easement, they have the easement, that's their legal basis, is they have an easement to the road. We just want to know, on the basis of that, can they apply for a grading permit from the county?
So, first off, and can you guys hear me good? Can you hear me?
Pretty well.
Okay.
Could use more volume.
Okay, can you hear me? Is this better? Alice, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So first off, I want to say thank you for having this meeting. I'm glad to be here to help clear up what we can and what we can get to today. And if I'm not able to answer your questions fully today, by all means, I'm willing to follow up as soon as possible. Regarding the situation, just want to make sure it's clear that there was no permission asked of DPW to, if they could start grading this road, nor was permission granted. What happened for this situation a little while ago was that there was a complaint that someone was grading, and there was a concern that it would be that they needed a permit. And our inspectors went out there and they confirmed that the grading at the time was exempt from permit because it did not exceed 100 cubic yards of excavation. There's a few different criteria as far as what is acceptable as an exception to a grading permit, and that was what was determined at the time. Now, that being said, the grading permit is tied to the TMK. It's tied to the property owners, and it is with, they're the ones that are gonna have to go in to submit these applications for permits. So it would have to be from the owner it would have to be the owner's approval to get this permit. Does that answer your question? Do you need some more clarification on that?
You mean the owner of the road needs to give permission to the applicant?
Owner of the property. Owner of the property.
Yeah, so the owner of the property would do it. Now with the easement over the road, that's a little bit different situation. I'd say that's a little bit more of a legal question. I don't have the documents to actually back that up. The easement should say that the lot owners have, unrestricted access and rights to their property, right? And be able to bring in utilities. What I'm not sure is who signs off on that, how that would be signed off, who has the control over that. Because obviously you're not gonna have to get all, 1,000 lot owners to sign. It's probably given the permission of the board or some type of acting authority. But for us to make a determination of that, we don't have the necessary information for that. And again, I would refer to an attorney on that one. It'd be no different than if you folks were going to make an improvement on the road in a way, right? You still have to have certain permissions, even if it was the original road. How did that come about? And I haven't seen the bylaws or CCNRs or anything else around that.
Thank you.
Robert, I see your mouth move, but it's muted right now.
Sorry, I see that. So this is an issue that our lawyer is pursuing and to get clarity, because right now the roads themselves are owned by this trust that is basically it's basically a dead trust, meaning that there's no actual law, I believe, within the trust. I can't speak more than that, but I believe Lincoln and Sheeta would need to get together with legal counsel of the county so we can get some clarity. Because at some point, Leilani is responsible for recovering our roads, and we're certainly going to grade more than 100 cubic yards. And so, I assume Leilani LCA will need to get a grading permit to do that. And the question is, right now, we don't own that TMK. The trust owns the TMK. And that's where we have a legal quagmire to some extent. But I would like to really move more to the question. I mean, that's one issue is, I think some of our concern that if there's no moratorium created about making changes on the lava covered areas, that people will individually, the way Sam Estes did, by himself, created his own road, did that, and now he's, doing other stuff out there, that what was from my point of view, I'm just saying it's my own point of view, a sort of pristine cultural historic site is slowly being, again, my judgment, desecrated, and it's being degraded. And so what we want to try to do in the board was to create a moratorium. That's why we wanted the barricades to be respected. And Sam Estes did not respect that barricade and actually removed it and actually went in there on his own to do that. So we are stymied right now about how to go forward to try to protect and preserve that area at this moment. I'm not saying that it should be always unchanged, but have some at least agreement, consensus reached about the future of this area, rather than just allowing every individual to do what they want, which I, in my own point of view, see as somewhat chaotic. I mean, maybe other people from the LCA would like to join in on that conversation in terms of what they want.
Robert, I'd like to add to that one of the more folks who would like to open roads is that they're hoping to build a home on the lava covered property, even though they can't get telco hookup apparently or internet. And we've been unable to determine whether, and of course our CCNRs require that the builder have a permit from the county. And we've been unable to determine if the county is requiring building permits, I should say, on the lava covered property. And if we did, that would help us to make future plans, because we don't know if it will be allowed or not. And I know, since I've emailed folks on the county, and they've been really good about responding, they said they didn't have a answer to my question at this time. And I'm wondering what would be holding up a decision on whether or not to allow building permits. Will it be a long time, or what kind of issues are preventing the county from making a determination on that? And I think that would be directed to Ikaka, or am I right about that?
Yeah, Ikaika. At this time, we don't have a stop on building permits as far as reviews for this area, if someone wants to submit a permit at this time, we will review it. But that doesn't mean it's going to be accepted because they have to follow the code and everything and make sure it's up to compliance with that. So at this time, I don't have a stop.
Does the compliance have to do with the size and the dimensions and the design of the building, or does it have to do with the substrate and lava as being safe for building, or are both issues part of that decision? I'm sorry.
At this time, I don't have, sorry. Robert, did you have something to say?
No.
Oh, sorry. At this time, we don't have any stop on accepting permits for review. We are looking into if there are any safety hazard concerns with the lava right now. So once we have that determination, we can take action from there. But at this time, it has not been determined that there is any safety concern.
But that would be on a case-by-case basis then, and a general analysis of the area. I mean,
we're looking at data points, for example, like how fast is the lava cooling? If somebody has to put in a wastewater system, what's the depth of that? What's the safe depth that, time that they would have to before they go down there? So there's a public health and safety issue, there's a community issue, then there's a property rights and land issue, right? So if you had the lot and your house was destroyed and you wanted to get back on there, that's kind of that's the converse of this conversation, right? So how do we work with those folks? And again, I think it comes back from, the broad policy conversation, talking with you folks, and it's something that we're working towards. We just don't have all of the answers at this moment.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Mark? Mark, you're on mute, I believe.
There, sorry. We had touched earlier on the tourism issue and what kind of strategies to move forward with this. This is going to be from my personal perspective and point of view. I would like to see the area protected and preserved, and have an interpretive, geologic, historical, cultural interpretation of what happened here in 2018. Have a kind of like what's at Lava Tree Park, like create a county park type of situation where there's interpretation, explanation, where visitors can come in a controlled environment and see what happened here, because the curiosity is there. That way we'll give them the education that they're looking for and the experience they're looking for, and keep it under a controlled situation, create an educational situation for people. And obviously there's landowners that are involved with this. It's all private property. My suggestion or proposal would be to buy out all of the landowners at pre-flow rates. There are grants and things available, and purchase them and give them like a lot of times when the government purchases land for the better good of the community or the area, they give them a bonus on top of the actual pre-flow or the property value. Make it so that it's the people that own the properties are treated fairly, and they're able to go move on and move to a different, another source. But that would give a way for us to protect and preserve this cultural and geologic site for future generations and increase tourism in the area, but not interfere with the local community. That's my 2 cents.
So to add to that, have you folks done a survey of the community yet, of kind of with these pointed type of questions?
Alice, do you want to speak?
Yes, we've done two. We did a survey months ago when the issue first arose, asking lots of different questions, asking for lots of feedback. And we have just, after doing a bunch of research about how much it would cost the community to open the roads and manage the situations and the likelihood of unintended consequences of opening the roads regarding joyriders and people dumping trash in cars and such, and also the privacy of the communities that are on the edge of the lava if a lot of people come in to visit to check the place out. Anyway, our second poll is a simple, would you like to see the roads opened, or would you rather that the area be maintained in a pristine condition for enjoyment of the spectacle and the geological wonders that are out there? And so that second poll is is out there right now, and members are just now starting to fill up the answers. So the answer is yes, and we have lots of data showing how many people would like different different amounts of opening or not opening the roads, and also what people's attitudes are towards tourism. So all of those questions are covered in these polls, and we'd be glad to share the results with you guys if you would like to look at them.
That would be very helpful, because I know on the tourism component, it's certainly, from my knowledge, is a double-edged sword. Some people are open to it, others are not. Some are open to it depending how it's done, and others are adamantly opposed to it. So again, I think these polls and more data points, especially with these large communities, certainly help drive these.
I would say for that particular question, the overwhelming sentiment is that tourism would be welcome as long as it doesn't involve the tourists coming into the residential parts of of Leilani, that they have viewing sites or possibly even a boardwalk or something like that entered from the north side where there are not homes abutting the lava, but that fissure 8 and the other fissures would still be viewable from those sites. So I'd say that the interest in having some kind of tourism is slowly increasing, but everybody thinks it should not be on the east side where the lava-covered roads we're talking about right now are located. The access should not be through private property.
Thank you.
Thank you for.
I just want to add one point. It's my feeling that for there's some kind, I think we need some kind of recognition by the county that this is an area, or I'm not saying the entire area, but parts of the area that are worth preserving. And does the county acknowledge that there's some kind of historic, cultural significance in this area that the county wants to preserve for the future of Hawaii? I think that obviously that determination is not going to be made today, but this is something that LCA cannot do on its own. And we will need, some kind of cooperation with the county if they actually see value. Now, Mitch actually came out to the lava cover area. We gave him a tour. This is before the election, and Mitch himself was talking about the idea of having like a boardwalk, like they do with the petroglyphs around the area of Fissure 8, so people could come and walk around and see the area safely. So I know Mitch is interested in this, but we are going to need to see, some kind of active interest of the county to say, well, yes, go forward. Let's explore this. Let's get some groups together to pursue this issue. Because you're right, it is very thorny. But
sorry. There's right now actually there's a window of opportunity with our Outdoors Open Space Commission. They just released. We just sent out a press release yesterday. It should be in today's paper. Regarding that commission and the ability for residents to find places that they believe hold a significant cultural, historic, or natural preserve or quality that is worthy of preservation. And so, if this is something that you folks really want to pursue, it would behoove you and your group to submit testimony on behalf of this commission. I believe it has to be drafted no later than February 25th. And you can go in, I can send you all the email after this call. with the instructions on how to do that. But basically, you fill out the form, explain why you believe it's a place that the county should preserve, and from there, if it's the result of that commission's decision that that area should be preserved, that recommendation will go to the administration of the county, and then it would be up to the decision of that to decide if we're going to buy back or preserve or create a boardwalk or all of those types of things for the community. So that's one avenue, that's a mechanism already there, and it's a way we can be proactive in this time of uncertainty.
Ikaika, is this the 2% fund?
This is,
Money?
yes.
Okay, very good.
It's all good. We look the same. I'm just bald.
And I want to make it clear for DPW side, we're open and willing to work with whatever direction we go moving forward to ensure that it's done with safety in mind for not just the people, but also for the environment and all the other aspects involved here. So I'm more than capable, more than willing to work with everybody on this.
Okay. Eric, you want to jump in? Eric Johnson?
Yeah, I
Eric?
just feel like I'm kind of, you guys can hear me okay, correct? Okay, I just feel like I'm kind of representing the other side of this argument that's not necessarily being heard, and I feel like it should, because not all residents necessarily feel the way that it's being voiced today. And I'd like to first start off by a couple of points, that there are polls that have been done in Leilani, but there are a couple of realities. If we look at the number of people who live in Leilani or own property and how many people actually answered the poll, you're going to find that not a very large percentage of the population of Leilani actually answered the poll. Many of them were totally unaware that the poll was even there or existed. Secondly, it's been made aware that since a number of people who were in the 11 dated areas had to move or relocate, a lot of those people necessarily aren't getting the mail that they used to and aren't getting access to these polls and able to voice their opinions or concerns on the other side of the spectrum. I'd also like to point out that I'm a property owner who lost my property, and I didn't qualify for any FEMA funds or anything, so we were in the process of developing it. It was what it was. I realized the risk of living here in Poole. However, with that, it's been over 2 years since we've had the eruption. And in 2 years, there's never been a major claim made towards making this a historic or a monumental landmark, until the point at which somebody finally said, I'm done waiting. Now, I was out there almost the entire time in which the individual who did doze the road was proceeding with his work, and there was multiple things put out to multiple venues for the community. And the only people who actually came with any real reservations were the people who lived in the immediate area. And most of the things that we were told was, this is no longer our land. They're claiming eminent domain, that once the lava covered it, we no longer owned it, and it has become their personal park, and we are desecrating their view. I am all about the Hawaiian cultural heritage aspect, and if at any point in time any member of the Hawaiian community came to me and said that what you are doing is a desecration of the Hawaiian culture, I would have severe reservations. But at this point, I have heard nothing but support by members of the Hawaiian community, including many members who themselves have had to rebuild on lava flows in the past for their families. The idea of, I understand it was an eruption site, but there are people who are very animate about this was their history, their family. They want to stay connected to that piece of land. They have no intentions of selling out to the county. And in every other aspect of Hawaii, there's been lava flows in Kapoho, Kalapana. These have all been used to draw tourism. They've been balanced well with both tourism and locals living in the area, but none of them have been removed from the locals from their ability to access the area that they owned and turned into a historical landmark in the past. And finally, when we talk about, well, let's just buy them out, there's a very large difference between a county appraisal and a marketplace appraisal. And the reality of it is, for the county appraisal, many people, unless they got bought out at 30–40% higher than county appraisal, are going to lose still money on this deal. And so for many cases, if they don't have that extra equity, rebuilding in their area. Now, I do realize that there are safety concerns, which I am fully aware of. I am very closely connected to volcanologists and climatologists with the people at MIT. And I understand that with the lava flow, you have to make sure it's fairly cooled off. But the county has already let people reopen roads. The county has reopened roads, and people have already rebuilt on lava flow in county designated areas. The only difference is this is the Leilani Community Association. It's not the county. And then finally, when we look at reopening those roads and the safety, the board members have reopened roads that they felt needed to be reopened on their own in certain areas without doing any of the permit processing themselves, already previous to Sam dozing the road to his area. Now, Sam has been asking the board to work with him for over 9 months. And in those 9 months, there are records showing the board said ignore him and let's hope it goes away. There are records also showing that Sam has offered every opportunity to try to work with the board. And the board just kept saying, no, we gotta wait, we gotta wait. And then finally, Sam decided to take action on his own. And so it wasn't like Sam just all of a sudden up and one day showed up with a tractor and said, hey, I decided last night I'm going to do this. This was something that he had been trying to do in a negotiation and peaceful manner for over 9 months with a number of the people who lived on that street involved, but there was no forward movement or progress. So therefore, Sam decided to look at what he was legally able to do within the law on his own. But there are a number of people who would like to rebuild and redevelop out there. And a lot of the people who are trying to redevelop are facing this pressure of this is now a historic landmark, but it's often being a historic landmark that's mostly being used by the people who are in that space. And I totally understand, but it's just become habituated with this is my own park now, my own personal view. And you look at down in Alpana where people have rebuilt on the lava flow, that actually became part of the whole tourist attraction that people would marvel at when they walked out to see the lava. And I know this because I used to be a tour guide leading those tours. That's all I have to say. Thanks for my time.
Okay, respond. Thanks, Eric. I appreciate the perspective. I'll speak from my side of it, and I think this goes to everybody. I think it's really important to have the various voices from the community in on these conversations. So I think it's really great that you're here doing that. And just for you, everybody, a part of the board, I think this is important as we move forward. Personally, that we hear, you know, differing opinions around this to formulate the best thing possible. And that will really help, I think, the administration and us move forward in the most effective manner possible. That being said, we want to stay friendly, we want to stay polite, we want to be kind across the board, so that's the basis we want to hold, but I think we really need to be open for very differing opinions. Fair? So thank you.
Ashley, do you have any comments you want to make at this time?
No, not really. I'm grateful for this administration wanting to hold space. Didn't feel much support with the Kim administration. I hope that we're able to loop Douglas in at some point because he is leading the work, and I think he feels very supported by the team that the mayor has assembled. Happy to, be here and continue supporting you guys.
Okay. Thank you. So what do you suggest as next steps? I mean, I hear one clear next step is this open space proposal that we could be discussing. That's certainly one of the clear next steps, and obviously to get more of our community together to have conversations, internally, regarding the issue of tourism or development, and to see how we could create a proposal that could work together in meeting different needs of the community. So I know that Leilani has its own homework to do in terms of creating these conversations, to have different points of view being aired. And I guess would like to know from the mayor's office if they have some suggestions, what they would see as movement forward in terms of positive next steps.
Absolutely.
Well, I would say this, something that Leilani can do is, I know you guys have some data points, I know you guys have some polls. I would like to see those vetted out to the fullest extent possible with a diverse, feedback as possible in as many different formats as possible. That's within reason and means for you folks. Again, do it as you wish, but that will certainly help drive this conversation. If the polls look like they're slanted one way or by a means that only a few people can get to, that's not going to help us as much as, you know, the best possible we can, the most diverse answers we can possibly get. I think that's a big one. Similar to the last meeting that we had, Robert, where it's kind of like we're formulating policy data points and getting this together. A little bit of patience will help, but if you guys be working on that data, we can kind of hear this, come in with some policy, and then it's going to probably be a few community meetings and again, gathering information and making some very effective and possibly challenging decisions around this.
Right.
Sendo, could I the statements you made there, and it really is an important point that a very large number of lots in Leilani are not have not ever had houses on them, and they're being held as investments by banks and in people's retirement accounts and that sort of thing. And those people never vote never vote when we have elections, even though letters are sent to all of them, and it's very unlikely that it's very unlikely that we'll ever hear from a very large number of our property owners. So expecting them to become interested in the problem and look into it and even take an email is difficult. And we have property owners in the part of Leilani where there are homes and where people are engaged and involved in their community. Those people are very anxious to be involved, and the people who are just investors, they have no idea this is going on because they never answer any letters. So it makes it hard to say, well, we've talked to every single one of our over 2,000 property owners.
Right.
Well, maybe I'll help narrow that down a little bit. We all know that there's a lot of absentee lot owners, as you say, they're holding it, they're land banking it. I feel like we're a lot less concerned about getting the data points from them. I would like to see the data points from the people that live in there and from the folks that have lost their home. What we don't want to do is be making a decision, having people coming in and being like, wow, I'm born and raised here, don't even freaking talk to me, I lost my home over there. That cannot happen. So we need to do the best we can to reach out to those folks so we can just really get that input. But again, as far as, you know, chasing down 1,000 absentee lot owners, I don't think we're as concerned about that as we are, you know, folks on the ground such as yourself and such as those who have lost their homes and property.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
You know, I could just add something here because Eric brought it up and wanting to, you know, just talk about the data piece. Robert, are you folks just surveying your members?
Yes.
Okay, and I wonder, I'm going out on a limb here, I don't want to make any assumptions. I wonder if there's a willingness for the administration to maybe collaborate on putting together a robust survey of all of Leilani estates. I think it's critical to get everyone's.
Well, all right. So let me clarify that. So we're you know, Leilani's divided into Section 1 and Section 2, and so there are, most people live within Section 2. We're talking about, you know, well, including the lava covered lots, 2,000 lots, and so we're surveying. You know, we're sending them information. We haven't sent out a letter. We've just posted on the website, but we can certainly send out a letter to all lot owners, and give them information about that.
Well, and I think if we're going to be using this data to make policy decisions, I think having us collaborate on the questions is really critical.
Right. So we'll send you. We'll send you the poll we're using. You might have some suggestions for us.
Hey, Robert?
In addition,
Yes.
Go for it, Alex.
I'm sorry.
Go for it.
Alice, go ahead.
The poll was an elaborate one in the sense that we asked people to give us their particular situation and their particular attitudes, and so we tried to make the poll open to everybody's point of view and not having to pick out one or two options that they didn't agree with. And they were very big on that. They gave us hundreds and hundreds of suggestions about the way they saw it and their particular situation. So we've attempted to document all of those and make those part of the survey. And it's been very helpful to have those. So it isn't like we gave people two alternatives that were that didn't apply to them or that they couldn't agree with.
Eric? Eric, go ahead.
I kind of get the impression Ashley's not asking anybody to justify themselves. She's sounds like offering to help with trying to make sure that the survey gets to all necessary parties and covers all the correct information. And I think with her connections, that would be a great help to the board. I just want to throw that out there that I would fully support that.
Thank you.
Yeah, so just from the mayor's office here, we're willing to be a part of getting out some sort of message to the lot owners. And if whether that be, hosting a virtual public meeting and putting that solicitation in the paper or something of that nature, we're open to the possibility of having that community conversation. But one thing that, we do think on one side is that there has, for the folks that did lose a home, not just property owners, but folks that did lose their home, their information does exist somewhere. And it would behoove folks to find that information and send a certified letter or whatever to those folks so that you can verify that you at least tried to touch those folks that did lose homes, like Eric here on the call. And I think that'll help to kind of give both perspectives the opportunity, because obviously there are two perspectives here, if not more. And if we do give both of those people the opportunity, plus a solicitation in the mail and a county meeting where you can have Douglas, Ashley, the Office of the Mayor, Planning, and DPW all convene with all stakeholders, I think that would be the best course of action. And obviously, we're happy to put the meeting together, to be the conveners along with you folks, as well as to put out that solicitation. But the letters and everything like that, that would have to be done on your behalf before we get to that point. So if the association deems fit that that's something you folks want to do, then we can then go forward to have that meeting after those letters are sent to contact the previous owners of property and sorry, of home.
All right. Thank you. In terms of this issue, is there a person who will be a point person in the county that we should be touching base with? Like just in terms of questions we have, or telling them, well, we've done this, this, and this, and your thoughts. So who should we be contacting in the county? Ikaika?
No. I was only making trouble.
Robert, keep us all in the loop.
Well, I'm the no, but I need a person on the county who will take my phone call. That's basically what I'm asking. In terms of moving this forward. Is it Lee? Oh, so it's is it Lee Lord? Is it Lee?
It's
Cyrus?
Me.
Okay.
Over here.
Okay.
I'll send an email out afterwards along with that open space commission information to you folks, and I can be the point of contact for you. I'll be happy to convene and work with you folks. Again,
great.
A lot of the heavy lifting will be done on your end, but we are happy to be the conveners of this meeting. We're happy to hear both sides, and we're happy to have everybody at the table that needs to be at the table in order to make a proper decision.
Okay.
So that's what I can do for you, and I can be a part of the language of the solicitation of this meeting to the stakeholders.
Okay. Thank you. I mean, I'm just leaving this meeting feeling encouraged. I know this is going to be a process, and it's going to call upon qualities of listening that sometimes I'll speak for everybody. I don't think we're all strong on, but this is an important issue, and that's something that we all can work together on, and build community here. So I just want to thank you for your time, and I do feel encouraged. I do feel that the county is there for us, and we're just going to keep going forward. I mean, that's my checkout. I mean, Alice, do you like to say something? Mark and Robin and Eric, do you have any things you want to add?
I'd like to thank you for meeting with us. It's really nice voice and a person, is in addition to just emails. And so I appreciate this opportunity a lot.
If I may clarify real quick, I'm not trying to pass the buck off to Cyrus. I am definitely available. Our department is definitely available. If you have any questions regarding safety, regarding the permits involved for building in this area, by all means, please contact us. We will answer your questions as soon as possible with the most complete answer as possible. Just bear with us as we go through this time. We need to make sure that we give you the most accurate answer. So I am more than capable and more than willing to work with everybody on this. And if you have any concerns, questions, by all means, regarding grading, regarding building permits, please contact DPW.
Okay, thank you.
And this is Lee. We have executive assistants here in the office that take on projects that cover several different departments. And although they communicate regularly with the departments and such as this case, and Cyrus, as our public information officer, is in that group of executive assistants, although he's a public information officer. So we're happy to support him do that. He's very near in his office to Mitch and myself, so if questions come up or directions needed, and reminders that we gotta include everybody and all the directors when issues come up, so that we are tearing down silos and making sure everyone's communicating and knows what's going on, including our council members, including council member Ashley. So we want to just encourage the communication, which he's the guy that does that for us the best. So thank you, Cyrus, for picking it up.
Thank you. Thank you. So is Eric, Robin, or Mark, any closing words you want to say?
I don't think so.
I just want to thank everybody for listening to us, and appreciate Eric coming in and giving the point of view that he's representing as well, because it's important to have everybody. We need to look at both sides and try to find common ground so that we can get as many people satisfied with the situation that we're faced here. It's important that we keep as many people happy as possible, because it's a community, and we want to stay a community. We don't want to be a divided community. We have enough division already going on in the world. So I appreciate Eric coming on and expressing his views, and hopefully he can be part of helping us come up with a solution too.
Yeah, guys, I actually really appreciate it. Robert, I was kind of short notice, but I'm glad you gave me a call, because I'm glad you're willing to at least hear the other point of view and see the other side. Same with the county. And Ashley, thank you for hearing us out and getting involved, and let's hopefully try and find a nice, peaceful solution works for everybody.
Thank you. Okay. Mahalo, everybody, and I'm sure we'll be seeing each other quite soon.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Hello.
Aloha. Aloha.